All right, kids, there it is. We're live. Good morning. It's Thursday. It's Thursday, and, well, I do have a Totar Win today. But it's kind of a mixed bag, you know, because, yeah, the Donald did the right thing. But it's kind of like finding that hole in the wall and all the cockroaches come running out. So what happened? What do we got? What do we got? We got Spies. Donald Trump, don't trust China. China is asshole. Oh. So, funny story. 2 days this week I've talked about this book, The Art of War. And today will be the third day this week that there is a link in the description to buy you a copy of this off of Amazon. You need to go and pick up a copy of The Art of War. In sum, the method of employing the military. The general receives the command from the sovereign, joins with the army, gathers the multitude, organizes them in camps. Nothing is more difficult than an army contending. The difficulty for a contending army is to make the circuitous direct and to make the adverse advantageous. Thus make their roads circuitous and lure them with advantage. Setting out later than others and arriving sooner is knowing the appraisals of circuitous and direct. Making the adverse advantageous. Luring them with advantages. We're in a pretty pickle, guys. We're in trouble here. For several decades now, the Democrats, largely, and make no mistake, the Republicans are guilty of it too. I've said many times on this show that the Democrat is evil and the Republican is weak. I wish there were a third option, but there's not. And yes, Steve, I know the Libertarian Party exists, but as long as they're pro-baby murder and open borders, you will not get me to vote for the murder of children and the dissolution of the United States. Not an option. Legalized weed? Sounds great. But really only because the prohibition on substance is patently unconstitutional and, thinly veiled in a gross misreading of the Commerce Clause, which was intended, as is stated in the clause, to make regular, not, as it has been mischaracterized, to regulate. Good Lord, what a failure of legislation. Quick pause. Good morning, Dave. Good to see you watching this morning. There's two other viewers. I hope to get some comments out of you guys. So, what are we talking about this morning? Well, like I just read the passage from The Art of War, the waiting game, luring the enemy, and all that. Guys, we have been lured in with cheap Chinese products. And, I mean, it's hard to ignore the prices. It really is. I'm a filmmaker. In the last couple of years, I bought a lot of Chinese products. Why? Because I can buy lights, I can buy video lights for a couple of $1,000 from American and German and other manufacturers. Or I could buy them for a few $100s from a Chinese manufacturer and get a tolerable quality of work out of them. Now, that has also depressed our wages, our labor markets, and now that we are in a clear Cold War with China, it's not declared. Nothing's been declared. We're not at war with China. Except, what's that? Looks like we've got Chinese actively spying in America. Rubio, Chinese consulate in Houston was massive spy center. So, Rubio tweeted his support Wednesday for the shuttering of a Chinese consulate in Houston, claiming that spying activity was carried out through the facility. The U.S. directed the closure of the consulate on Tuesday. The Chinese government said Wednesday morning that they had been instructed to do so without warning, but Rubio claims the move was long overdue. I can't wait to see how this shakes out. China's Houston consulate is a massive spy center. Forcing it to close is long overdue, he said, describing it as a central node of the Chinese Communist Party's spy operations. This needed to happen, he tweeted. And then there's the tweets. China's consulate in Houston is not a diplomatic facility. It is the central node of the Communist Party's vast network of spies and influence operations in the United States. Now that building must close, and the spies have 72 hours to leave or face arrest. This needed to happen. Yes. 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 Okay, let's take a moment and look back on the Trump impeachment. The impeachment that happened, not the one that almost was. Okay, the Ukraine scandal. The Ukraine scandal lit up over basically accusations that Donald Trump, attempting to conduct investigations into Joe Biden and more specifically Hunter Biden's illicit foreign dealings. The accusation by the Democrats that led to the impeachment was basically, oh, well, Trump's just doing this because he's afraid of Joe Biden winning, and no, he's not. Just shut the hell up with that. You're out of your damn mind. Donald Trump is afraid of Joe Biden, the God Emperor, threatened by the stuttering, demented child molester. Please. Well, some people think that Joe Biden might have early onset dementia. It's not. It's not early onset. The man's 80. He has late onset dementia. He has dementia that has onset after the normal life expectancy of a citizen. Okay? Joe's old. Don't get me wrong. The Donald is over 70 now. Donald Trump is old. But Joe Biden is old. Joe Biden is, how can we keep him alive? Old. He's rapidly approaching the level of old like Nancy Pelosi and George Soros, where it wouldn't be unreasonable to suspect some sort of occult entanglement. Right? Oh. So, the Donald trying to conduct investigations into Biden and into Joe and Hunter Biden. Let's not forget, it wasn't just the Ukraine. Joe and Hunter and their friends and their family and their ilk have long, deep ties to the tune of billions of dollars with China. So, for one, when you go to vote this November, let's not forget, your vote is between the American Donald Trump and the longtime Chinese ally Joe Biden. Those are your options. So your choices are between America and communist China. And just so we're very clear on this, we've discussed this on the show before. I've explained it before, but I'm gonna say it again. The CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, is the same CCP that it has been since before World War II. Okay, the Chinese Communist Party, the equivalent would be excuse me. The equivalent would be if after Hitler left power, the Nazis, the Nazi party, remained the party in power, right? It would be as if after Obama lost the election, or after Obama, not lost the election, I'm sorry, after Obama's term ended and Hillary lost the election, the Democrats remained in power nonetheless. Xi Jinping is just the next Mao. Okay? And now y'all know I'm not a big fan of Islam generally, but and relevant. But guys, all the evidence seems to suggest that the Chinese are rounding up Uyghur Muslims, putting them in concentration camps, and harvesting organs from them. Okay, these are the people we're talking about. The U.S. will not tolerate the PRC's violations of our sovereignty and intimidation of our people, just as we have not tolerated the PRC's unfair trade practices, theft of American jobs, and other egregious behaviors. President Trump insists on fairness and reciprocity in U.S.-China relations. And then the place was on fire. You could just smell the burning paper, what is told the station, but all the firefighters were just surrounding the building. They couldn't go inside, as documents were burned inside the consulate's courtyard Tuesday evening. Even Vox.com, the U.S.-China Cold War reaches Houston. It says the Trump administration abruptly told China it had to close its Houston, Texas consulate by Friday. I suspect we're going to find some, we're going to hear some more information soon that says that there was something very specific that escalated. These guys are calling it an unprecedented escalation. Okay, whatever, Vox. But even Vox can't ignore that there's something significant going on. Right? Normally, I wouldn't give Vox a time of day. I don't have time for their wispy little Latinxes, whatever. U.S. charges Chinese hackers over COVID-19 vaccine cyber attacks. Now, this article's from just a couple of days ago from Alfred Ng. U.S. Department of Justice is charging 2 Chinese hackers with cyber attacks intended to steal company secrets, including against researchers working to develop a coronavirus vaccine. So it's very interesting that this article is just a day before the whole collapsing expulsion of the Chinese consulate, followed immediately by their clear destruction of documents. So we've talked about spoliation on this show before. To see that the agents at the Chinese consulate are out in the courtyard burning and destroying documents, in the way that they are, in a court, in a criminal proceeding, if the accused, right, if the defendant, if the accused is caught, and we're pretty much talking, dead to rights, no reasonable doubt. If the accused is caught destroying evidence, that's spoliation, destroying evidence. It is normal for the judge to then instruct that the jury assume that whatever evidence was being destroyed, is taken to be the most damning possible smoking gun that it could be. Because the logic, the conclusion, the reasoning there is that spoliation is itself a crime. And so risking those very serious charges in order to destroy evidence is a calculation that can only be made, that can only be justified by destroying the most damning possible evidence. The proverbial smoking gun, if you will. We should consider the spoliation of Chinese documents by their agents at the Houston consulate following their ouster to be that. But whatever documents they're destroying, it should be assumed that those documents are absolute smoking guns to the worst presumable activities and crimes that can be alleged against the enemy. Okay? So, I'm building the book list. We started with The Art of War. And, yes, Sun Tzu, know thy enemy and know thyself, and in many battles victory. I'm serious as a heart attack about y'all going out and buying this book. I'd appreciate it if you, go to the bookstore, buy it, whatever. I would appreciate it if you use the link in the description. We could use a couple of bucks to update the cameras and microphones over here at the studio. But keep an eyeball out for there's the link in the description to buy the book. We're updating the website now, so once I complete the book list, or rather there will be a growing book list, the Brushfire Mind will be on the brushfiremind.com in the coming days, and each of the books on the list will link to what I will take to be the best copy available on Amazon. I want people to be buying these books in hardback editions, good of high quality, good construction. If I buy a book that goes on the list from the link, and I get it, and it's a crappy, it's crappily put together, it's cheap hardback or bad binder or whatever, I'll swap it out for a different one. Because the point isn't just buying the book. The point isn't putting money in my pocket. The point is for as many people as I can convince to do so, to stockpile these books, and save them before the firefighters come, vis-a-vis Fahrenheit 451 or Equilibrium, to destroy all human culture. There are several reasons that a tyrannical power will want to destroy books, culture. This book teaches us how to defeat the enemy. Our Constitution and our Declaration teach us why to defend ourselves from the enemy. Other books teach us the value and the beauty of liberty. But there are other threats that live in books, in fiction, in poetry, in art. There are other threats to a global superpower. Feelings. Equilibrium, they crank everybody full of drugs, and they take away all the art so that they don't ever feel emotions. So nobody gets to be happy. Nobody gets to love. Nobody gets to feel elation, joy, solace, safety, comfort, all in an effort to avoid people ever feeling anger in order to suppress insurrection. Right? It's almost like the opposite of bread and circus. Right? Panem et circuum, you feed them and entertain them, and the people will not revolt. Oh, that's adorable. Incidentally, in America, we call that welfare in Hollywood. Yeah, Dave made a comment about Hillary destroying the 33,000 emails. That she had them was probably not nearly as grand a crime as the crimes which were detailed by them. And that is the point. So, these books, The Art of War, the Bible, get yourself a good solid Bible. I don't care what your religion is. Get yourself a good solid. I keep a copy of the Bible, the Quran, the I Ching, and a shitload of other. I have a library in my house. That's part of how we live our lives here. Is there is a room in this house that's nothing but bookshelves and spaces to sit and read. That's just part of Lowry. But I think that's about all I've got for you this morning. Like I said, I'm updating the website. I'm working on that today, and it will include the Brushfire Mind list, which will start with The Art of War. Probably also include the Zen of motorcycle maintenance. And that's going to be the show this morning. We're working on Cameron's situation. I see that Dave asked about it. I met Cameron yesterday in Marietta to hand off a jump drive that should hopefully fix his computer once he plugs it in, and if not tomorrow, I hope to have him back operational by Monday morning. And until then, y'all be safe out there. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Go buy the books, and we will talk to you I will talk to you tomorrow, and Cameron maybe, but we're looking forward to Monday.